Y'all, we just love our theme song. Welcome back, though. Welcome back to another episode of the Book Chapter and Converse podcast. I'm your host, Angelina McClinton, and my amazing co-hosts are here with us today, Mr. Ford.
What's up? What's up? Everybody.
And we have the wonderful Mrs. Carter. And y'all give it up for the Pastor Nathan.
Glory.
Get ready.
We start early, y'all. We start early. We are excited about this episode because this chapter that we are in, for those of you that are keeping up with us, we're in chapter 6, and I don't know about the rest of them, but I know for me, this chapter right here, it really dug into me and had me really thinking about a lot of the connections that I have made over the years and the ones that I have right now, because we are talking about understanding our past choices and looking at, oh Lord, did it even pay off? And even the ones that we're in, is it paying off right now? And I never even thought about looking at my relationships, regardless of the type of relationship. I never thought about the payoff. And maybe I thought in the back of my mind, I don't know about you guys, but just looking at what am I trying to get out of this, or what was I trying to get out of the relationship? I mean, what was y'all thinking when y'all read this?
Daleen, what say ye?
One of the things I said was, thank you, Lord, for not having so many past relationships to ponder. How about that? That's where I started.
You know,
And then I said, well, the relationships that I did have to ponder, I saw what I learned after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Not then, not even, I'm talking about kind of recently, things that I've learned from those past relationships. And like you were just saying, did I get anything of them? Did anything? Yes. Yes. You may not see it, but oh yeah. You learned something, you took something away from it that's making a difference in your life right now. And most of the time we can say, hope and pray God that those things are positive, making positive differences. Some people are definitely going through some negative differences of things that they've gone through, but you take something away from every relationship. um Sometimes you have to when you going just think about some of the things that we learn from these other relationships.
my God.
Folks gotta grow up and choices. Some people really do. The base of their choices are, like they would say, "Oh, why does that really nice girl? Why she always look at that? She always want to end up with these, not so nice guys. What is it in us that create those attractions?" He talks about that, and what is it? The really nice guys who always with these girls who trying to play them. What is it? What's the connections and they talk about the things that we're missing in our past that we try and make up for in other people. Things that happen to us. So definitely an interesting chapter for us to dive into. Um, yes, it's a lot when you look back at your relationships. But like I said, in my process of looking back at my relationships, I can tell you that I can honestly count my relationships on one hand. Prior to being married, I can count my relationships. My high school, middle school, high school boyfriend. You know,
Them don't count.
bro, it gotta count for me because that was next to my marriage. That was my
It
longest
falls
standing
off
relationship.
after
You said what?
7 years. It falls off.
Oh,
After,
after
it's like just like
seven?
credit. It's like
Yeah, it
credit.
fall
Wait,
off.
hold on.
It
After
falls,
seven? Well,
it
then
falls
guess
off.
what? I'm gonna just stay in this one because this the relationship I've been in for the past 21 years. So let
Yeah,
me
like
just
it's
go with
like
that.
credit. After I'm with you now, after 7 years, it falls. The one thing I noticed that he said was you pick your difficult person for a reason. There was something you valued and wanted and hoped for. And though I can remember, even when I was in high school, I always picked people. I picked them, of course, based on looks because that's all we knew about them at the moment. We saw them and was like, oh, they look good. I'd like to get to know them a little better. Um, but I always had this idea of, can I bring you home to my mama?
What?
And if I didn't feel like I could bring you home to my mama,
That was
I really didn't fool
to
with you.
begin with.
And I don't know why I was so my mind was that way. Even at an early age, high school, middle school, I was like, if I can't bring you home to my mama, I just really don't know if this gonna work. Or I was always thinking long term. I don't know why I was just always wired that way. Could I see myself married to you, even though I'm in seventh, eighth grade, thinking about can I see myself married to you? Probably, then it's probably not gonna work. Because I just wasn't wired to be in and out of relationships. I'm like you, Miss Carter. I've had
Right.
3 serious relationships in my lifetime. That means the 3 serious relationships that I've had, y'all, I'm gonna be transparent. I slept with these 3 people, and no, we weren't married at the time. But the last one, we are married to this day, and we have been for almost 19 years. Um, but when you look back, it's like, what did I see, and what did I learn? Well, I learned not to pick the same kind of people over again. That's one thing. But most of it was aesthetics. It was, oh, she fine. Oh yeah. And then of course that's what kept me going. Oh, she crazy, but she fine.
You know,
She
it's
loud, but
funny.
she fine.
Yours were not the same type of people. Mine, you could look at my people, and they're almost alike. And then I finally got the full real version. It's very odd. If you look at but my first boyfriend all the way to my husband, very good comparisons, right? Um, until I just finally got all the things. But I made that list and presented that list to the Lord, and hence there was my husband with those things. But those were things that were in, like, some of those things was in my very first boyfriend, that I dated. So mine I want to say consistently got better. But you put those pictures together, it's funny. It's kind of funny. That's when people say you have a type.
I do.
But let me ask, because what we're looking at is understanding, our past choices in order to make better choices. And
Correct.
so, for the two of you who have said that you can probably count them on one hand, me, I need two hands. But did you look back and analyze the choices that you made, look at their character, because that's what this is
Part of it.
about. We're trying to go beyond the boundaries. So once you go beyond the boundaries, or trying to do so
Mhm.
in a healthy way, do we look at the choices we made, why we made those choices, or did you just move on? Or did you analyze, this is what I got from this person? Why did I go after this person? Because that's one of the things that he said in here. As you said, you picked your difficult person for a reason. But do we even pay attention to why we picked that? Like, what were we going for that we chose that person? And then when we saw the difficulties, we stayed in it. Did y'all think about that? Or did y'all just move on to the next relationship, be it friends? Because we can't leave out, this book is, it's obviously it's easy to look at our romantic relationships,
Right.
but whether it's friendships, it's kind of hard to get rid of family, but sometimes we gotta put family in some healthy boxes. But be it friendships, co-workers, romantic relationships, did you ever look at your past choices and try to choose better, or did you just move on?
Oh, definitely look back and try. Hence where my list came in. You know, I had to look back and say, this didn't work. I thought this was going to work. I chose this person. I thought it was going to work, but okay. So it turns out we're not exactly heading in the same direction. We're not exactly kind of have the same ideals and stuff. And so when I made the list, I looked back at, I mean, everybody, I guess, and said, no, I would change this. I would change that. I would like this. I would like that instead, you know. And let me tell you, when it came down to, and I don't know if I've told you guys this before, but when it came down to me and my husband, um, we started dating, transparent, right? We started dating. And then somewhere around, right after I really started, really like, you know what? He could be the one. Checks a lot of my boxes, you know, this could be the one. And then that man said to me, well, yeah, no, I wasn't really planning on getting married again. Stop the presses. I said, huh? He said, yeah, I was just thinking about that. He said, I didn't really think I want to get married again. And I was like, not married, not have any kids. He's like, oh, because my husband had two sons already, right? And he was like, well, no. I said, oh, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay. And guess what? That's where I was able to cut that. I didn't say, hey, well, I maybe could make this work. I don't really need children. I don't really have to get married after dreaming about it as a female all my life. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say cut my dreams and having my. I said, well, that's unfortunate. I really thought we could have something, you know. But you know, we cool. We be cool. And he said, what are you? What he said, what? You are you breaking up? What are we doing here? And I was like, well, it's no need
Miss
for us
Core.
to date.
We're breaking up.
Yeah, we're breaking up. There's no need for us to date. I was dating you with the intention that it would lead to somewhere. It would lead to us being married. It would lead to us having a family. He was like, well, we could still be together. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, what do you mean by be together? You mean, what do you mean by? Let me tell you. I was like, be together. I'm sorry. Oh, you mean you gonna come live in my apartment or something? We just gonna like live
This ain't no
there?
street booty.
And so
You
he was
can't
like,
tank.
"Why? What's the problem? I don't understand. Why can't we just?" I said, "Let me
What?
tell you. I'm gonna tell you who wasn't raised just to be together. You know, I'm looking for my package. You know, and let me tell y'all, it wasn't in me at that point to say, "Oh, I'm a child of God," and the Lord said I can have this and that. It wasn't even that wasn't even in me then yet. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it was. You know, the Lord be guiding. The Holy Spirit be on you. He got you. You don't know he got you. And then when you open your eyes to him having you, then you're like, Lord, thank you. You had me all this time. Right? But at the time, it wasn't me to say, the Lord say this, that, and other. Nope, it wasn't even that. It was, this is not the way it's supposed to be.
No.
You know, I grew up enough in church to know this is not what I want. You know, we're not about to, what, shack up together? Is that what they call it? Shacking? No. So we broke up, and he toiled over it for a while, and then I inadvertently pretended halfway, kind of, sort of, to date somebody else.
So you lied.
It's a long story. No, no, no. I did kind of date somebody else, but I didn't like them. Um, to the point that Douglas outside in my parking lot talking about, who is that in your apartment? Why are you in my parking lot? Go away, stalker. Right? Sometimes you gotta, you know, it's not that you have to play the game, but sometimes you got to stand up for
Douglas was
what you
stalking?
want. He was stalking girl in the parking lot talking about who is that in your apartment. What you mean who in my apartment? Why are you in my parking lot? So the way it goes, he was talking to a dear friend of his, And he was like, but I really care for her and all this, which of course I got this story secondhand. Right for it. And they said, well, if you feel that way, then just go ahead and get married. Why can't you get married? If you really feel this way, and if you really feel like she the one for you, then take the chance to get married. So throughout our 21 years, I often ask him, are you glad you took a chance? Are you glad was that a good choice? Did you make the right choice? And it's always a fun conversation when we have this one. Did you make the right choice? And for us to have a
What if he
kid.
say no?
If you would have said no, I would like, well, you free to get your. Oh, let me stop. I said, get your. No. And
What if he says no?
if he would have said no, then that would have been a different conversation. And at any given time, everybody around here
You
have a
can't still
choice.
be asking him that though.
No, but it's
He
not
made his
asking him in
choice.
that way. It's not asking him in that way. It's
Did
it's
you
our
make the right choice?
it's our happy thing. It's like
Aren't you glad you listened? Choose
you,
me this
After
day.
he's had a good meal, Nathan. After she done rubbed his tag, and
Right. When
aren't
do
you
you
glad I
ask?
gave you
You
the
can't ask
aren't you
that.
glad I
I
gave you the
did.
ultimatum?
My
Right.
head good, my back is rubbed, my feet is rubbed, not my bad
Aren't you
water's ran.
glad?
Absolutely, I made the right choice.
But the thing about it is, what if I wouldn't have stood up to say, no, that's not gonna work for me? What would that have been? So I often encourage my girlfriends, don't be afraid to say, no, this is not what I want. This not how, it should work. And, you know, like I said, someone said, well, that worked for you. Yeah, it could work for you too if you choose to go for it, and and if that's the right person. I always felt like that was the right person. So I felt like I had made the right choice in saying,
But we
we're
make
not gonna
those
do it like
choices.
this.
We don't want to be by ourselves. We settle because it's like, well, at least it's better. It's better than nothing. Some people aren't, some people don't think along the lines that you think, because at the end of the day, they'd rather be with a piece of man or half of a woman and settle for some things versus being alone. It's like, I can be by myself. But I mean, I could have Johnny. I mean, yeah, he slapped me around a little bit, but it's
Whoa.
okay because at least I have somebody. Or yeah, Samantha, that girl, she got a temper, or she step out from time to time, but she still come home at night, and we end up going around and around in these patterns, which of course why he talks about understanding your patterns and your choices. Why do you still keep choosing this people? Why do you still keep making this decision? Something is in you that's deficient, that's causing you to still gravitate to this, even though because sometimes we know we deserve better, but we
Or
won't go
something is in it for you though. What's in
Right.
it for you?
talk about it.
That's what he said. Like it's a payoff.
Yes.
So like you said, she's crazy, but she's
Sex is
fine.
good.
When y'all go out, people see Ford got a fine woman. They don't know the crazy. The payoff
she's
is
nuts.
everybody thinks like I caught one. It's a payoff, or it's sexual, and it's sex with a fine woman. Although she's crazy, although you're not benefiting in every area, sometimes it's something in it for you that you can hold, and that lets you know more about you when you look back on it
True.
than other people. Everybody's crazy when you break up. Everybody's the bad person, but it's like I'm learning about me. When you go back to high school, if everybody going back that far, I think a lot of that stuff it chose me. You're not even choosing. It's like, yeah, my friend said she want to talk to you. You remember that?
Yep.
And you size it up to see, okay, I talk to a friend. Or you're teaching yourself to not choose. You're teaching yourself to just want what wants you, and then you build in your mind, that's what I can attract. So I can, okay, and don't let friend be fine, because then now you set a standard for what you think likes you.
Yeah.
So now you're conditioned almost to say, I have to have that because I know I can attract that.
Yeah.
And a lot of it chose you, even friends. A lot of friends for me, came in the form of projects. If I could help you in the area, I could help you with your work. I can help you, like, and especially the opposite sex. A lot of opposite sex friends for me came in the form of a problem you could solve.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the male ones, it came from affiliation. We work out at the same gym. Or you work together, bro. What you finna do? You finna go get some wings, watch the game? Sports. Not real brotherhood activity. It's just activities. And so I think my friend Philip was the only one that I could see his spiritual side, and I could say, okay, like it's his character. Like we met at UTA, not a Christian school, and I had a Southwestern hoodie on, Southwestern Christian College. I just left there, and he said, "Man, you know that school?" And I was like, "I just left that school." And he was like, "Oh, you go to church?" I did, and it just went from there. But if I don't have that hoodie, I probably don't talk to him. And so that one conversation was like, "Bro, where you gonna eat? What you gonna do?" But over time, I was like, "He'll stand up dude. He'll do anything for anybody." And it was like, okay, this is somebody that you can trust. But most other people, it came in the form of probably women that got friend zoned. So I'll be your friend because they either have a man or you have a woman. So you're automatically friend zoned because there's no way you can be together. You see what I'm saying? It might be an initial attraction just off the eye, but once you start talking, you realize, okay, not that you were intending to talk to them, your brain conditions itself to friend zone itself. It's like I do it with married women. You already know you'll never be able to, so it's like automatically all you want is friendship. You see what I'm saying? So you're conditioned to want certain things, but picking, actually saying, hey, will you be my, you see what I'm saying? How many people have really done that? And so a lot of friendships were a payoff for people. They was your friend because you had a car. You see what I'm saying? You don't know if they was really your friend. They needed a ride. True. They was your, and it's not until you get older that you realize, like, you can pick the circle. You can actually pick the circle, the entire circle. Not saying you don't make casual relationships, but you can actually get older and realize it doesn't have to choose me, or it doesn't have to casually be. I can actually say, I want this kind of value in my circle, in my life. Or on a romantic level, you don't have to pick from a I'm trying to be careful. A lot of people didn't pick spiritually. They picked on a religious I'm trying to choose my words. They picked because you went to church. And the church pushed marriage. Yeah. So, okay, you go to church. Okay, I'm okay. If you like me and you went to church, then let's start. And then they're not really picking based on Christian character.
Right.
They're picking on, you went to church. You're in this church. Let's see if we can build. I never really, you know what I'm saying? So it's, you look back on it and say a lot of past choices, either it chose you or the group chose for you, the church chose for. It's like you're not really taking control of it. And then when it falls apart or y'all part ways, you start to say, I didn't even really want this. When you look back, I didn't even really want this, or this didn't really want me. It was you think about you, and that was the biggest thing for me, saying, what did you choose? You see what I'm saying? Like, and why did you choose it? And it's not so much what was the payoff, but realizing that the payoff is it chose you. And some people, they have a desire to be fixers, problem solvers. They're attracted and attached to need. And so the payoff was somebody needing you, feeling the value of, hey, I'm the friend that can do this or that. You see what I'm saying?
Right. I think everybody should do that. Everybody should really think back to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, like, did you choose it or did he choose you? Because he said A lot of
I
things
can.
are character based and not trauma based. But if you pick the
That's
person
what I'm
based,
saying. The way you're explaining it, we don't hardly ever choose. However, the choice to stay is kind of like take me and Ford.
Mm.
I've
yeah,
heard about Ford through a mutual friend that we both had and just kept saying, I think you're going to love Ford. I think you're going to love Ford. So when I met Ford, in my memory, I think we immediately clicked.
Yeah.
right,
And I think we clicked more because I did see Ford know the Lord, right? Me and Ford, we could laugh, talk, bust out with church songs that nobody else knew at the drop of a dime. He's easygoing, all of that. But I never had an issue with Ford. Some people, and then like my payoff, I mean, Ford could cook. Uh, he could. Now he would be stingy with the food, but Ford could cook. Okay. Um, I I could talk to Ford even though I wasn't living how I should have been living. Ford would always let me know that it was wrong, even though he never made me feel bad or anything. I knew Ford wasn't gonna let me
That's a good
stray too
Christian.
far. I could trust Ford with my kids if need be, that type stuff. If I needed a ride or, but I didn't run into any issues with Ford. He said in here that we choose the difficult people, and then why do we choose to stay though? What are we willing to sacrifice, or what are we sacrificing to stay with this difficult person, whether it be the fact that they're
Well,
irresponsible.
well, like Nathan said, we choose to stay because we think we could fix them.
But even if we
Those of us
can't,
who like to, those of us who like to think that we're fixing people or helping people, the people who want to help, or the people
Yeah.
who uh are friends to the friendless. It's so many.
true,
but
but that's
you're
what I'm
invested
saying. Do we
at that
look
Yeah.
point.
at those reasons? Because he listed all, because you were talking about the character. He listed some are they're deceptive, they're emotionally unavailable, they're controlling. Like, why do we choose to stay with somebody who's controlling or have a friend that's controlling? Why do we choose to still stay in connection with somebody? And I may not be trying to fix them, but they're a narcissist or they're
And
manipulative.
I can answer that from personal experience. It's just the thought of when when you've been the type of individual who you're looking for your place. It doesn't matter where you go,
Hmm.
no matter what you do. Lord have mercy, help me. And you don't fit in. Um, People talk about you, and you've done nothing to them, and you finally find somebody who shows you some type of attention. And in the beginning, if we're honest, in the beginning, everything's right.
Yeah.
They're not going to show you right away that they're controlling, that they're manipulative, that they're deceptive. Now, there may be signs, and you may not know what those signs are. But in the beginning, it's all good. Oh, we love you. Come on in, be a part of our group. And we said that you don't have a place, and we're gonna take you in. And you think that, okay, I finally found my place. And then after a while, they start to show who they really are. And I think, like Nick said, at that point, you're invested. And I said earlier, at that point, it's just like, well, I know they use me. I know they're using me. I know that, but I don't know how to say stop, because if I say stop, then that's where's they gonna leave me by myself again. I'm not gonna have a place. I'm not gonna have a tribe. I'm gonna be alone. So okay, if giving them $20 here or there, $40 here, $50 there from time to time is going to allow me to be connected, then that's a small price that I'm willing to pay until I finally come to the end of my own self and realize I don't have to take this. I'm worth more than this. But see, in those times, I didn't understand my value. I didn't understand my worth. So I was willing to put up with a little bit of manipulation, a little bit of deception, because I just wanted to be a part of something. And people just they want so bad. Even in the beginning of the book, when he talks about we're not called to live by ourselves. And if me being a part of this means, okay, yeah, I know they stole my card and did me wrong, but I forgive them, and we'll move on. I'll it's not about them. It's I'll be more careful next time. I'll make sure that I don't leave my wallet out in a position where they can just take that from me. Or next time I'll say no, and I
Right.
really mean it this time. Or next time, when they ask me to go, I won't go. And I'm gonna be firm on it. I'm gonna stand up to them. And the next time they ask, and you be like, yeah,
Okay.
go ahead, because you just want to be a part of something.
That was his payoff. To
I
be
just wanna be a part of something.
inclusion is the payoff.
Yeah.
But I also think too, relational health, whether it be platonic or romantic, comes into question too. I think sometimes you're conditioned to overlook the character and the trauma, depending on which one it is. But he said most things are character based. People will tell you their traumatic experiences, so you will accept them. But a lot of it is not trauma based; it's character, and it's like, yeah, that trauma did happen to you, but this is you. Like you just lie, and you don't lie because of trauma. You just lie.
For no reason.
Yep.
You just lie. You're lying. But relational health is important. You can be conditioned to say, and we use this in our culture. That's just a game. So you've conditioned yourself to believe that there are L's in the game. So she gonna give me an L, and she gonna give me an L too. So I might as well stay with the L I know, then go out there and try to play the game and try to discover how you gonna give me the L. We're conditioned to believe, like women say, oh, all men cheat. So getting cheated on is nothing if every man is going to do it to you. You see what I'm saying? So they will take they will take whatever society has said is normal. It's a part of the process.
Right.
You have to be wounded before you get your glory. You have to go through hell and back and then say, but he chose me. And these things are not true. But in our culture, in our society, and that's just part of the game. And that's just part of it. If you're gonna be with a woman, they like this. And it's like they're not.
Look what he
Yours
said on
is.
page 72. Love is not blind. You know,
You're
people always say
right.
love is blind. Love is not blind,
It's not
but
blind.
desire,
It's
but desire
but
can be blind.
even on top of desire, if you're already going into something with a poor level of relational health and you just believe these things happen, like there are some people in certain situations that because everybody in their environment and proximity suffered abuse, then it's nothing for somebody to abuse you. It's nothing to walk out on your kids. It's nothing. They could all their homeboys did it. Their daddy did it.
Yeah.
And so now certain people they're conditioned to believe like fathers don't stay. It happens. And so I think you have to look back and understand past choices and say, what was I taught that was okay? Why? Because that, like you said, I just wanted to be included. But some people, that's not their thing. It's just that I think this is normal. This is a part of relating. It happens. And when you look back on it, you have to have grace for the things you didn't understand.
Mhm.
There are a lot of things you have to grow up and realize, hey, that ain't it. That's just not it. But on both sides, I look back and say, what did you give that was toxic? Because somebody chose, and what was their payoff for? It could be, yeah, he's nice, but he's this. You can be nice and get angry real quick. But you'll say, they just get angry sometimes. They just get angry. So you have to say on both ends, what did I learn about myself? What am I learning about, other decisions that I chose, like you said, Angeline, to stay in. But I think the biggest thing to go along with what Forrest said when he talked about being included um, and being not being left out or trying to fit in, I would say that can carry over into a timeline too. A lot of people have a set goal, and the payoff is you fit within my time frame, even though you don't fit my life. So if I was supposed to be married by 25 and have 3 kids by 30, if you're who I'm with at 23, I better stay. Because what I'm going to be left out of is the pop culture that everybody gets married by 30.
Yeah.
Don't believe
And we
that.
do that with jobs. We do it with people.
Absolutely.
Like, you fit my timeline, but you don't fit my soul.
Wait for
And
the
I'm
right
going to
person.
I'm going to sacrifice my soul to be looked at as earthly, an earthly success. Man, he got it together. He got it together. But it's not good for my soul.
Wow.
And then we have all of these diseases and this dis-ease. Yeah, a lot of it is in our diet, but a lot of it is in our relationships. When you really start to study relationships, poor relational health will kill you faster because we're made for a connection. We're made for people.
Right.
Be married 50 years and one of them die. The other one probably got a year. Because that's the soul.
I'm getting me a girlfriend. I ain't
That's
going.
the soul, man. It's the soul. And so I think being left out of the general timeline is a fear for people, because I don't want to look like I didn't have my stuff together. They can't see what's going on in my home. But just on the surface, they need to be able to look and say, hey, Nathan made it. Nathan could be living in hell, but he made it though.
Nathan could be living in hell.
He could be living in hell. And
You're right.
And because this is why I'm saying this. We fear failure so much that we will fake success. We fear failure so much that we will fake success. Because I've known people personally say, I want to get out of this marriage, but people will talk about me.
Well, that
They're
was
going to
the
talk
same
about
thing
me.
that we had talked about with who was it? Will Smith.
Yes.
And with him choosing to stay with Jada. I mean, we don't know what's going on behind all the walls, but with her being caught up
Right.
in that whole situation and him choosing to stay and him not wanting to leave her, because if I
Right.
leave, then I have failed.
Right. And he said that. He said, because my whole goal in life was to be better than his dad. So he was trying to stick it out, because he made a commitment with himself early on that he wouldn't do what his dad did. And he couldn't shed that to get what he really deserved. And so many people, like I said, we fear failure so much that we'll fake success, because I've sat across from people who didn't want to get married but had to. Didn't want to stay in it but had to. Because I don't want the church to talk about me. I don't want to be the only friend in a friend group that doesn't have a husband. I don't want to, you see what I'm saying? Like, or I got to be, my kids. I got my kids. We got to stay together for these kids. I don't want them growing up in split homes. And then people say, oh, they're divorced. Divorce is like a stain. And I don't know why.
They act like not so much these days.
Nobody, but I think
past it used to be a
no,
stain.
it is.
Nowadays,
It is.
It still is.
It is these days.
Much
It is.
less.
Yeah.
Much
No,
less.
you see it, but you don't see it. It's done in private. But you have to,
now as opposed to the past.
It's done in private, and they don't want to say it in the public because nobody really wants to come out and say we didn't make it. We didn't make it. Y'all threw that party. Y'all ate that cake.
Divorce rate is high.
I think it may not look like a stain because more and more people are
doing it.
However, at the end of the day, it's
still frowned upon.
Yeah, it's still a stain because y'all didn't make it, or you feel like I'm a failure when it comes to my kids because we didn't make it.
You didn't make it. Yeah.
So it's still very much a stain, which is why, like he was saying, there are a lot of people who do choose and they're so miserable. Like they
miserable, man, but
miserable,
just trying to stay in it to not get,
and they feel like they're doing their kids a favor, and you're so
to not get criticized. To not get criticized socially, because we can box people in. We'll say, oh man, he crazy for staying over there. oh, if she do that to him, he crazy. I don't say, well, I wouldn't take nobody back. I would do. We start to label people. It's not that they're crazy. It's not that they like abuse. They like they like perceived success. They like the idea of you thinking that they're successful because it does something to them to say, hey, I met my timeline. I did it. I got, and even going back to what Ford said, I got somebody that's not crazy. They're not crazy. They're forfeiting themselves. They're saying they're not crazy. They're sane. They actually know what's going on. They've conditioned themselves to take the abuse to where it doesn't even hurt anymore, because what hurts I read a book one time. It said you'll always choose you'll always figure out what the greater pain is, and that's what, like, you'll avoid the greater pain. So hitting me versus my kids being in split homes and going up and down the road, and or not even just that, somebody thinking I didn't make it, I'm not successful. The greater pain is how I look socially.
Right.
Oh,
so I'll take your private abuse as long as publicly
they think
we look like a match. You will always size up the pain and you'll avoid the greater pain. And that is a past choice that you have to understand. Not making my timeline is the greater pain. Getting cheated on ain't. You feel it, you felt it. But I don't know what it feels like to say you failed and you got to start over.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you'll see everybody they'll post when they get together. When they break up, it's crickets. Because everybody likes a status such and such just got in a relationship with.
We got to know what's going on in this relationship.
Hey, don't leave us out.
Don't leave us
we
out.
Want to be in. We was at the first date. We want to stay in. Don't you do that? Don't you leave us out?
Children. We was there all for
and now you just taking all them nice pictures by yourself.
And we be mad because I don't like when they all of a sudden be single, and you can always tell because me and Nathan really so and so must be single because
I can spot it quickly, man.
When photos change,
I can spot it quickly. The photos get a little risky. Little risque.
Your name.
It's like you need to put out a statement. You regret to inform you.
I can always tell. I studied body language. In college, in sociology, you learn how to study the body language. Well, now because everything is in the virtual space and in this metaverse, your body language now is you have a virtual body language, and so I can see your patterns based off what you do, and when you start to do something different. Or how you comment different. Like, you didn't used to do that. She's not married no more. She wouldn't post that like that.
Right.
You up at different hours.
Right.
You like different pictures. That's a virtual body. Because when you got somebody, you ain't up. When you got somebody, you're tired. You're on the phone, or you're tired because y'all doing life together.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm not saying you can't be up on the phone and scrolling at the same time. What I'm saying is your investments are different when you're not invested in what you used to be invested in. And so your virtual body language actually changes. But neither here nor there.
Even more careful though, because like you said, you got to be careful. You can't hit that like button or put that heart on certain posts and photos, because then you're gonna have to answer questions.
You got to answer questions. But I think overall,
photo last night, me and Nathan, and it was a couple, and the way they was posed, we was like, no, they ain't really together, because they not. They just putting on, and they think we won't know. Like,
okay, you putting on.
What I'm saying?
They don't even we know in real life. Okay. Turn your mic off. Turn your mic off. Okay. As I was saying, because you got to watch that. As I was saying, overall, you have to be honest and say, I get it. It is a sense of pride that you have when you're proud of what you've done. And it's not that they're hiding it from you, but they're not proud of themselves anymore. And because they're not proud that they didn't make it, they think you're not proud. So we hide all of our failures and post all of our highlights, because we actually like our highlights too. but deep down, we're struggling to deal with the L's we've taken. Nobody sees, that illustration where the duck is just swimming underwater. Nobody can see it. You just see it gliding, and we're kicking, man, and we're kicking, and it's embarrassing for you to see my kick. You know, it's
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 embarrassing. Ah,
you. I want you to think I just glide pretty every day,
And I
but
don't.
if you could get the camera underwater,
I
you
woke up
would
like
see
this.
that all I'm doing is kicking. And as long as we're gliding in life the way we want to, we're proud of it. But really, someone who's not posting the divorce or the breakup, they're not proud of it. And
right.
because they've been conditioned to believe something that you have to take less and appear like you have more to even be proud of yourself. And they forfeited
You
their
know
soul.
what? Because some people they don't post like the process, but some people actually do post like I'm having a divorce party. I be seeing cakes that say
Yeah,
got
some
my
people are.
divorce. That's the aftermath. They ain't showing you what took place prior to
Yeah,
that.
because
And then
that's
a lot
Right.
of
hurtful.
times the one who does the posting, that's the one who feels like I'm the victim and everything. They either got cheated on or they done finally got rid of the crazy woman or something like that. But you don't
It,
see it a lot. But there are some people who they will post, I am finally free.
but if you
Free.
love something, you should have some kind of pain. If you
Oh, it's
loved
gonna
it
be some
and you
pain.
and you invested well, you should. But we don't teach walk away with your head held high. You did your part, or you didn't do your part, and you still can have a sense of pride and say, you know what, I owed that person better,
Or I gave it my
and
best.
I owed myself better because it was my time too.
Yeah.
So even if you are the person that this is understanding past choices, I owed myself better because it was my time too. So hold your head up high when you look back and say, okay, to the world, it might be a fail, you know, but to you, it's a win if you can look back and understand. Either I owed them better, I owed myself better, we owed each other better, whatever it is,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it was your time. And you don't have to, I'm not saying you have to be public about it. Some things get so messy that you can't be public about it because it will cause you to lose your character. Other things, uh, you have integrity so much so that you will cover the other person even though you're parting ways. So everybody's not in shame.
Right.
Sometimes if I if I post a divorce, if I post a split, you're gonna be asking me all of this stuff,
Yeah.
and maybe you can't handle the real truth. The real truth might cause you to look at him or her different. You know, you have now have a different. Oh, I didn't know they was like that. Well, you wasn't with them.
Right.
You have a
Right.
relationship with them that's casual. When you're
Right.
in the ring of love, you jab, you take some.
Oh, my
You
bad.
know, when you step in that ring, you hit and get hit. You can't be a boxer and not want to know what it feels like to be hit. You can't play football and not take the hit.
Yeah,
You
nah,
see what I'm saying? If you don't want to feel impact, run track. But
Okay.
if you're gonna get in the boxing ring or you're gonna lace them up, get on that field, you have to say you don't get into the end zone untouched. And the only way that you can run and get a touchdown and nobody touch you, you had somebody blocking.
Come
So
on.
somebody on your team had to feel impact for you to get in there. And so we have to be okay. Even the champion, Bud Crawford, Earl Spence took an L. But ask yourself this: who was sparring with Crawford? That person took more hits than Earl in training. So
Okay.
there's somebody anytime you're in an impact sport, whether you're training or in the game, hits will come. And people on the outside of that, they don't know what that's like because you're not dating them, you're not married to them. We're in the ring. And so when the bell sounds and it's over, I can't disclose everything because that is something that was ours. And so I actually have respect for those people, even though I find it funny sometimes, you know, but I still have respect because you don't owe me that to tell me everything that happened in the ring. You don't even owe me to tell me that the game is over. Because sometimes I get it. You're covering that the person that you love, and that's biblical. Even if we're gonna part, I don't have to put you out in the public square and show everybody, your scars. You don't that's mature love. Mature love would say, uh, Joseph, what he had set his heart to leave Mary quietly.
He did.
He was going to put her away quietly. Joseph believed that Mary, the mother of Jesus, had broken the betrothal process and had known another man or had laid with a man that was not him.
Stepping
And the
out.
Bible says he was about to put her away quietly. I think the measure of a man is when you are hurt and when you are impacted and it's just and we know it happened and you have the option to put somebody away. You are a godly man when you're willing to sacrifice telling your story versus covering the other person. Put them away quietly. And
Right.
that's what we see when people don't post everything that's going on. They may have a level of maturity or they may have shame. To the people that have shame, I hope we helped you. But to the people that are mature, I salute you for putting someone away quietly.
Mhm.
Now, do you think that we, and going back to what you were thinking about, and we're still talking about understanding past choices, do you
Mhm.
think that um, for those of us who do cry loud in those instances when we have a breakup or a parting of ways, um, that we're not taking the time to examine our own self? Because I mean, it's not always
Right,
the person may have done something that has caused us to end up here, but
right,
you're not innocent in it also. And I think that sometimes when a spouse cheats or a friend does us wrong or we go through all those things, that we don't take the opportunity to examine ourselves because we're too busy nursing the hurt or playing victim.
right,
Because even in my own situation, I had to look back and say, okay, why did you allow this to happen to you? Now, I didn't go blasting the people and talking about,
right,
I finally got to a point where because what it was, I didn't love myself. I didn't love me. I didn't know me. But as I started to take on that and I started to say, no, I do deserve better. Even if that means better, like I got to be by myself, then doggone it, then that's what I'm going to do. I deserve
Yeah.
better.
right.
And
Right.
I started to cut those things off. But at the same time, I also had to look in the mirror and say, why?
I mean, I
Why?
definitely think that it's a case of not looking at self, because if I take the time to be all loud and proud and talk about what so and so did, then no, I'm not looking at me, because it's not to say that you're not done wrong, but like you just said, you're not innocent in it. But it could be just that process, because a lot of times before we take a look at what I did, we always look at the other person. It's kind of like the kids when they're going back and forth. I do have to stop and say, well, what did you do?
Right.
Why did
Yes.
that even
Yeah.
take place? And so, if I'm not going to say that you can't say what so and so did, whether, because I mean, we do live in the social media era, so everything is posted. I'm not going to say that you can't, but you can't go on and on for years, because at some point you do have to stop and say, why did I even allow this to happen for however long? And it just goes back to what this whole chapter is about. Why did you choose to put up with the difficult person? And so, looking at everything that everybody has said, if we don't ever go back and assess why we allowed that, because I just believe it comes from a place of lack in some area. If I lack self-worth and I get with somebody who makes me feel like I'm worthy, then I might put up with you
Right.
because you feel this hole right here. If I maybe I'm not as smart, so if you have the ability to think and put all the things together, I'll put up with you because you like the other half of my brain. Or maybe I'm broke, and so I don't make all the money that I feel like I need to make. I get with you and I'll put up with you being a manipulator because you help me pay my bills. And so I think a lot of times, especially what he was pointing out, was we have to assess where are we lacking something, because a lot of times we fill it in, and it may not always be with the best people
Mhm.
who have, all these different character flaws, but we'll put up with it because we're lacking, like it was saying, how we have family. If I don't have a whole lot of family, but I get with you and I just love your family and they take me in, well, like you said, I want to be included. So I'll stay with you because at least I got.
I love your family.
Okay, that's great.
So I think looking at our past choices, we have to ask ourselves, did I do it? Did I stay in this out of some area of lack? And if so, how am I going to fix that? Because if it's still an
Good
area
point.
where I'm
Good point.
lacking, I'm going to do it all over again.
See,
But
I
here's the
disagree.
thing. I was just going to say,
I
but
disagree, and I want to
no,
I
go
dis
ahead,
I
Matthew.
healthily disagree. Like it's not
Okay.
not no beef. Um, I think that's the trend to say, oh, you lack, you lack, you lack. Some people don't lack; they cover your lack. Some people are very healthy and very self-aware. Now, the inability to self-assess is real, but to some people, they actually know themselves. They don't lack. They called it love because love is patient, it's kind, it's long suffering. It doesn't hold no a record of wrongs. Sometimes people have such a mature love for you. We only can understand it as they must be lacking, but they're actually loving.
Hmm.
It Christ got on the cross and he took what we lacked, and
And nailed it.
Calvary could look like he must be lacking the covenant folk like that. He must not love himself, but he actually, the Bible says that for God so loved the world
Hmm. Hmm.
that he gave. Some people we encounter are not lacking. They are loving us in a way and trying to teach us love, and it comes at a price and a cost. And
To
what this
them,
book never talked about was and I'm not saying that you have to stay in something that is toxic. I'm saying there are levels. There are levels.
if that's what I was getting ready to
There
ask.
are levels. Um, if you get in it and it's toxic, you you might have something to do. But sometimes circumstances change people.
Correct.
And I'd never
Absolutely.
seen that part of you, and I've already chosen you. So
Hmm.
covenant commitments are different. But I
And
don't
I
think
That's what I
agree.
was going to say. It's a covenant
I
commitment versus
covenant commitments are very
yeah,
different.
absolutely,
I
definitely.
don't
Because
think it's always lack. Sometimes it's sacrifice.
I can see
Um,
that in your situation of love, like you said, if it's a covenant, but everybody's not in covenant. So, for
but even
example,
with friends, there are some friends you have to love past their lack.
I
And you see what I'm
agree.
saying? It's I'm not always talking about marriages. I'm saying even with friendships,
yeah, no,
it's
no,
like,
and I would say things like if you and I we're covenant
yeah,
relation, covenant friendship. And I know that, there's some, I mean, because he says, acknowledge him in all your ways, Lord, or do I need to be friends with this person? And I know all of us don't do that, and some of us just jump in, but I know that I'm called to you, then absolutely. I'm not going to just be like, okay, now wait a minute. Now he doing a little bit too much lying. As
right,
a
right, right,
friend,
right,
what
right,
you
right,
doing is
right.
like, okay,
But
okay. I don't know what's going on that you feel like you
keep
have to
doing
be
that.
just honest with me. But
Yeah.
I'm not walking out, so you can stop lying. I'm not leaving. So you don't have to
Mhm.
put on, you have to put up. Tell me what's really happening in your life so that I can be there for you and help you. Because
Right.
because like you said, I think you said something and he said it, and I know we're about out of time, but I want to go back to it real quick because you brought it up at some point when he talked about distinguish between character
And trauma.
and trauma. And like you said, some things are learned behavior. Now,
Hmm.
I shared with Angelina a couple days ago that Big Mama. Let's just say she had something that happened in her life where she found out that telling the truth was going to get her in trouble. So from there on, she decided that she wasn't going to tell the
Right.
truth, and she kind of passed that on down. So we don't all we didn't experience the trauma that she experienced, but we learned that deception was just easier because telling the truth meant I'm exposed. I
Can we
may
say
not be
trauma
believed.
shapes character?
Definitely.
In
Can
some
we say
cases, I
trauma
would say
shape?
so.
So in
Yes.
essence, everything is trauma, or from a the seed was
Or
traumatic, the fruit
yes, and
isn't,
that's exactly
but
what I'm
the
saying. Exactly.
soil was traumatic, and so at
Yeah.
some point the fruit may be good to eat, but as it digests, the consumption of it may ultimately lead to disease because of the soil. You see what I'm saying? So I
Exactly.
think
Mhm.
trauma,
Absolutely.
and people can't control their trauma. Some things happened to us. Some things happened around us, and it shapes
Mm-hmm.
your character. And I think that's the beauty of the cross, because Jesus' goal was to get us to love like him. I'm not saying stay paired with something that's going to kill you, because he died so it
Absolutely.
doesn't have to kill you. But I'm saying love looks different for a lot of different people. And I've learned kind of to not measure everybody as they're lacking in self-awareness. Sometimes they're so self-aware that they understand I'm taking this because they may feel this is the balance. You don't want to become God doing God's work. So
Oh
sometimes
no.
I think they feel like God called me to take this. No, I think he called you to assist, get them
Hmm.
the support, get them the help. But sometimes we can kind of, you know, not hear the word of the Lord and say, I'm called to do this. And you can
Mm-hmm.
lack in understanding your assignment and not know your oil don't go out over there, because that's not for you to fix. That's called a bad paradigm, but it's not lacking self-worth or something emotional. You have a paradigm that says this is something that I must do in order to give love. This is how I give it. I'm going to help you. I'm going to see. Then we try to shape and mold
Mm-hmm.
and we think we're doing a good thing. You see what I'm saying? Your paradigm could say, um, my daddy didn't stick around, so I'm gonna be in my kid's life. But you have to learn how to be in your kid's life. But I might not need to be married to you. I'm gonna be in my kid's life and your life, but I'm not. My soul won't be connected
Hmm.
to you. It'll be connected. But see, you have to get that paradigm right. They're not lacking. Their paradigm said, "Do what daddy didn't do at all cost." They're not lacking self-love in that instance. They're giving more love away in that instance. And it's really what Christ did. But you have to talk to God and have communication and say, Lord, am I trying to do your part?
Hmm.
Because you're gonna wear yourself out thin trying to love somebody like Christ, who first um, may need to accept Christ as their Lord and Savior. And so disciple that person. Don't try to outlove discipleship. That
Hmm.
person needs to be discipled so you all can have a shared value. You see what I'm saying? Discipleship will teach that person that he love them kids. He come over here for them kids, and he loves me, but he's not my my marital partner. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? So I don't have to dangle the kids in front of him like that. I don't have to. You see what I'm saying? I don't have to toy with what he loves because he doesn't love me. If we both love Christ, come pick up these kids, do whatever, maybe have an open door policy, however you want to do it. We both love Christ. And because we both love Christ, we're going to equally co-parent. But what some people say is, in order to, because I have a bad paradigm, I have to overcompensate in this area because she don't get it. So I got to stick around, because if I leave, she's going to make it hard for me. You see what I'm saying? And then I'll be just like daddy. You see that? So it's not that they're lacking. Their paradigm is off. And they've made love uh the paradigm of love comes from what they lacked coming up in. So
Right.
trauma produces the paradigm, and then you love out of that paradigm. But it's not that you don't love yourself, it's just you created a false reality. You see what I'm saying? And you do what the four agreements calls, it's your personal dream. And your personal dream is family stay together.
Mm.
And anybody who interrupts that personal dream, they've interrupted you. They've interrupted your soul. So
Yeah.
you start to make agreements that keep the personal dream, if that makes sense. But it's not a lack of self-love. It's just loving the personal dream kind of to a fault. Y'all see that? And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think and I think when you look back on past choices, what you have to say is, was my paradigm off? I loved myself, I loved them, but was my paradigm off? Was I just some people paradigm? I got to give my kids what I didn't have, and they overwork themselves.
Jesus.
And God never called you to give your kids what you didn't have. Give them Christ.
Come on.
Sometimes your kids have enough. You didn't feel like you had enough, and now you're overworked, underpaid, and overspent because you're trying to give your kids what you say it slowly. Give my kids what I never had, not what they've never had. They don't know that they don't have it.
Right.
And so you're doing 70-hour work weeks, and really what they're missing is you. They have things, but they don't have you. They go to the best schools, but they don't have you. They
Come
don't
on.
see you and mama really together because you're overworked. That's a bad paradigm.
One's underpaid.
Underpaid, overspent. That's a bad paradigm. And that's what I mean when I say I disagree with just sizing the person up. Like, man, they must don't love themselves. They might be loving from a bad paradigm. And you and that's where we get the term paradigm shift. When it shifts, you're able to love freely and fully yourself and others. Because trauma hadn't you've erased the traumatic paradigm and said I've shaped something new for my family. See, that's different than saying, give y'all what I didn't have. What if I just say I'm doing something new? I'm just doing something new. Because a lot of times what you didn't have,
Make new choices.
a lot of times what you didn't have is not related to money. Like I always said, I want my kids to eat at a dinner table. Talk. Because we got to a point early 2000s, a lot of people don't sit at tables. A lot of people don't sit and eat and talk. They eat and watch TV. They eat and watch the game. They eat it. But like, I was like, I got to have a dinner table in my house that you sit at. And it's not that we didn't have one. We didn't use it.
Because we definitely have.
We didn't use it. We had one. We had two at one point, I think, but we just didn't use it. You got that, you got that den with the table that nobody go in. Why? They go in on Thanksgiving. That's it. And then we don't use it any other time.
Christmas.
So I said, man, I want to do something new. I don't want to love from a paradigm. We just didn't do it. What can I give that's new?
Yeah.
Not more. I had a good childhood. I don't have to give more. But I can give the aspects can be new and different. And that's kind of what it is. Even in romantic relationships, you don't have to be better all the time. Just say, I'm gonna do something different. Because if you make the paradigm, I gotta be better than that person, you're keeping a scorecard. Gotta be better than mama. Or I gotta get exactly what mama was. And then I'm picking, she look like, okay, she can cook. Oh, mama bakes. Can you bake? Oh, she can bake. Must be like mama. You start trying to find out. Because now there are some values my mother has that I think I want to keep, like peaceful, soft spoken. You see what I'm saying? So I never chased anything loud. Anybody would ever tell you I don't do loud. I don't do a lot. I've never had anybody loud talk me, put their finger all in my face. Because I value. My mother was soft spoken. I didn't go into it saying, you got to be just like my mom. You got to talk like my mom. I don't want you. But I can say, okay, I can take that value and say, I like that.
Yeah.
But past choices, sometimes you say, they don't act like this. You start to, or what mama didn't have, or mama worked all the time. All right. Daddy worked all the time. All right. So I got to have it where I got enough money. My wife never have to work. Most times you're not in the home if that's the reality.
That's
right.
True.
So before you make a paradigm of something mama didn't get or daddy didn't get or they didn't have, make sure it's from a healthy place for both of you. Make sure. And that's what when I think of past choices, I look at that. I don't always say, oh, I was lacking right there. In some cases I was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you can do, you know, most people you can do your homework on a person. Everybody got a story until you talk to the person they left or they're currently with.
Yeah.
Because you know, so you can do your homework. Like I said, I won't ever get on the public platform and say anything because anybody can ask Elena anything. Well, how is he? Like, you know, so I'll never do that, you know, because you can talk to Elena right now. Nathan is this is in this area, but he might quit in this area. And I'll be on him about that. You see what I'm saying? She'll tell you. So the person that you love, they know you. And so, but in past choices, when you're looking back on past choices, I think the goal to me is just to say, with self, what was the paradigm and what was the payoff? Am I willing to sacrifice those things again? Do I understand the difference between trauma and character or how the trauma shaped the character? Am I willing to pay that price again? You know, and if it's worth it for you, pay it. If not, you got to do something different. Even with your friends.
Can we talk to them about what's different? You know, let's talk to them about the choices to come. You know, like on page, I'm gonna just throw this on 74 because it's almost time for us on this one. But on 74, when he's saying, you can find interesting, caring, and strong people, and there's no reason in the world that you must, in the same time, be leveraged into accepting dark character traits. Certainly, no one is perfect, and finding a perfect person is not the goal. But perfect is a long way from dark. My goal for you is that you will be enlightened and empowered to choose people who are both good and good for you. My thing, like I want to say, based off of like just from my story that I told at the beginning, take the time. Like once you understand your past choices and you've understood this and that, and maybe you've gone through and you listen to this and say, you know what, my past choices led me to realize this about myself. Listening to y'all made me realize this. Well, guess what? Move forward and make some other choices. Move forward, you know, and think about what your current choices are. Think of use your past as that springboard. You know, leave it back there, leave it back there, but use it as that springboard to make some new and good choices for yourself. Don't sell yourself short. Um,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes I always, one of my friends always, I tell her, you're not alone because you believe in the Lord. You are a child of the Most High God. Holy Spirit resides within you. You are not alone. And until you find the earthly person that you want to spend this life with, don't feel like you have to settle or take anybody because guess what? You're not by yourself. And when you take your time and make the better choices or as we say, let the choice be made what for you. Because then we say a lot of our choices of these people are how they came to us when Nathan was first talking about that in the beginning. I started thinking about all my best friends and how we became best friends. What were the circumstances and the instances? And I really like thinking through that because like, no, we didn't really choose each other.
Right.
We were put together, you know,
Yeah.
and then we became who we became, but we were kind of
Right.
put together. We didn't stand and say, hey, you come over, be my best friend, you know. And then, you know, and so when I think about it, I just like, well, thank God for those relationships. Thank God for these instances that put us together, you know, and thank God for the relationships as they come together. So when you're thinking about that, when you're praying about that, when you're focusing on, hey, I really would like to have, you know, this for, hey, I do need to pray about
Right.
a friend or family member. Um, you know, focus on making the new choices, the good choices. I hope my internet is having some issues right here. Um,
It's a little, you know, mainlining, but it's okay.
It's all right.
okay. I feel like I was going in and so I feel like I was going in and out right there.
Yeah, you know.
But
Yeah, you had a little dial up like AOL.
oh.
You had a little AOL. Yeah.
Oh, no,
Because
no, no, no.
Did you fix? Okay.
oh no, it looks like the internet is doing
Oh my
something.
God.
Oh
Y'all, we
man.
got to get out of here.
Yeah, it's
Uh
about
oh.
that time.
The
That's what I
devil
want to
is
say.
busy on that.
Make a
Busy.
choice.
The
Make good
devil is
choices.
sitting
Focus.
on your bandwidth.
I wanted to say,
Oh,
It's
focus
the
on
internet devil.
making choices. Like literally, that's what I
the
wanted to say.
dial-up devil.
You have choices. Take your time to make good, good choices, or take your time to be led in a choice.
Mm.
You know.
And with
That,
that said,
oh,
what, Nathan?
oh, and then I was gonna keep going on the dial-up devil.
Mm-mm.
That
We're not
dial-up
gonna give.
demon.
We're not gonna give the dial-up devil
That
no
dial-up
time.
devil.
That
We
smooth-foot
we had a
sucker.
great session. Praise the Lord. We made it with
Yeah.
our mind going all the way out. There we go. See
Give
how
it up for the dial-up devil.
you silly. Mm-mm-mm.
Demon of
And
dollar.
with that said, y'all, we are going to be out. This was a great episode. Tell your family, tell your friends to subscribe and to listen because we do want us to pay attention to our choices and look back to see why we make the choices that we make when we get in connection with people because we want us to have good connection so that we can live happy, healthy lives. So until the next episode, we will see you guys next time.